Hi there, welcome to another Bikes, Beans and Bits how-to. Today we're going to be starting the long overdue maintenance for my Trek, which is my daily ride. We're going to do some changes to standard inner tubes over onto the TPU tubes that seem quite popular. We've got some new tyres to go on, new brake pads, new chain, cassette, and just a bit of a general fettle really. But first of all, let's have a look at these TPU tubes I've picked up from Amazon. So it seems to be a bit luck of the draw on which ones you get, because I've got both types. I've got these ones with the old plastic stems, and there's also the newer type with the metal stems, which is supposed to be a bit more reliable, but I got them in a slightly longer valve length for a different set of wheels. So just out of interest, we'll give these little tubes a bit of a comparison on the scales against what they're replacing. So the new tube is 35 grams, with a claimed weight of 36, and they're replacing a standard butyl tube which comes in on the scales as 113 grams. So that's quite a substantial saving across both wheels. I just hope these are going to be sturdy enough for the Cheshire and North Wales roads, because they're really thin. But I've spoken to a few people who've used them, and they seem to like them. So let's crack on. Right then, let's get the wheels off. Right, that's a bike mounted to the feedback stand, ready for the wheels to come off. Get the chain off and crack on. So I'll pull the rear wheel out now. Before I start the strip down, be interesting to get a comparison of the wheels weight before and after. So we'll just put these on the scales. This is the front wheel, and the slightest of steadying pressure. So we've got 1100 grams for the wheel as is, and we'll weigh it again when we're finished. So let's get these tyres and tubes off. all the air out. These tyres haven't been off for so long. Just have to break the bead. Should really consider running these tyres as a tubeless, but job for another time. Right, so the tyres off the bead. You should be able to just slowly tease it over the edge. Here we go. There we go. Take the lock nut off. And that's the old tube and tyre off the wheel. I've opted for the tan wall Contis this time. Now the instructions for these TPU tubes say you must put a little bit of pressure in them, you know, prior to installation. So we'll just give it just enough to give it shape, but not enough to stretch. Hopefully that'll be enough. On with the tyre. The GP5000s are a directional tyre. You just need to find out on the sidewall where it says where the direction of rotation is and match it to your wheel. I always like to try and put the brand logo in line with the tyre valve. That way, if you do get a puncture on the road, it makes it a little bit easier to work out the orientation. Looks pro as well. I think compared to a butyl tube, you've got to really take a lot more care getting them into the rim. Typical Conti style is going to be a really tight fit onto the rim. Try and move all the slack from one side of the rim to the other. And there we go. One ultra tight Conti bead fitted, no tyre levers. put a small amount of air in while we make sure the bead's seated on the rim. And we haven't got any tube pinched. All looking good. One thing of note, on a previous video I reviewed the Trek electric air pump, and if you're going to use that with these tubes, I strongly recommend using the supplied adapter to go with it, otherwise the heat can melt the stem. I think these tyres will be a little bit heavier than the original Trek items, which were quite light. So, possibly about 50 grams lighter. So, not a major difference, but not to be sniffed at. So, we'll repeat the process for the rear wheel. Have all the air out. These tyres are long overdue replacement. They were almost flat across the tops. So we'll run through the same process again. Unwrap our tube. We'll put just enough air into it to form the shape, but not enough to stretch. Having so much air in them really does make it a lot harder to get into the rim. I know that much. So, as if by magic, we've got the rear tyre on and inflated. Put the anti-rattle patch over the valve and we're good to go. So, two wheels refreshed, ready for action.